Matt Freese, if he's going to be the goalkeeper going into the World Cup, at best, he'd have 15, 16 caps, 17, right? That's it. That's an infant. Literally throwing an infant onto the football field. He needs to play in big games. Well, if you play against Belgium, you have an opportunity to stand on your head and keep us in a game. That opportunity gets taken away from him, so he plays Matt Turner. That, to me, basically says these two are so close that we're unsure of who the number one is.
Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, presented by Volkswagen. Volkswagen has long been a supporter of soccer in America and has proudly been a partner of U.S. Soccer for over 5 years.
Welcome into another edition of Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim. We are in the same room.
Same room.
Presented by Volkswagen. Look, we were both in Atlanta. That's where we were. We were together. Watched the game. Read the social so we can get into the game.
I was going to say, let me just get this out of the way so we can go. Please, guys, follow us on social media at Unfiltered Soccer. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Make sure you follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can email Jordan, feedback at Unfiltered Soccer. I will say so many people, Tim, so many people. I was at an AT&T event. You were at Jim Beam. I was at Jim Beam. I was in the Volkswagen suite. So many people came over to me and said, I love listening to the show. And I said, what the hell do you love about it? Why do you want to listen to us? But they must love us.
They love us.
They love you. They didn't say me. Okay, we got to get into this. So we were both there. I had so much optimism.
Did you?
I really did, coming off like the Uruguay result. Yeah. I liked the lineup, which we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah.
And jeez, I walked out of there like
deflated.
Really deflated.
You and a few thousand other people, probably tens of thousands of people,
probably a few million watching around the country.
Well, people left.
I was just asking. We were asking. Dan told us that the last time a U.S. team allowed 5 goals was to Colombia in 2024. And then the previous before that was the 2009 Gold Cup final to Mexico. But that was a B team because our team went to South Africa for the Confederations Cup. My first thought when I was just reading the screen, and I'm like, I can't remember ever giving up 5 goals with the U.S. team, which I didn't, and you didn't. And it's just wild, first of all, to concede 5. I was almost embarrassed. It really was walking out of there. Yeah. I was embarrassed.
Yeah. Not great.
No, not great.
I don't have a lot for you today, mate. I mean, I'll give you what you want, but not great, top to bottom. When you're a team that understands how to play the game together, there is a way.
Yeah.
There's a way to win games, and there's a way to lose games. And I'm not sitting here from any lofty perch. I have had 5 hung on me twice. I've had 6 hung on me. It's horrific. It makes you feel like this small in the footballing world. But when I look at this team overall, right, and we could probably, some of our listeners are going to want to hear like the nitty gritty stuff. Okay, we'll get into some of that. From my end, when it goes to 3, okay, I as a leader am going, when I got the ball, this ain't about tactics anymore. The fellow over there on the touchline who told us about tactics, I'll deal with him. We're going to move our lines. We're going to get the ball up to pitch. We're going to fight for second balls, and then we're going to get down and play. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be open and expansive and pretend we can beat this team because guess what? We can't, right? So in the game, how are you doing that? The other part of it is, I told you this off air. There's a player that we play with. His name was Jermaine Jones, and Doku would have done his little dance once. Would have done his little dance twice. And then at 3-1, when he still took the piss out of us, Jermaine Jones from the number 6 spot would have vacated the middle of the midfield. He'd have gone steaming over to the fullback, and he would have lit Jeremy Doku up. And basically gone, you've got 2 options here. Stop taking the piss or get yourself subbed off because the next tackle you ain't getting up from. Mm-hmm. And what it does as a team is it lays a marker down. Like, yeah, we might lose this game, but we're going to win something. We're going to win some. We're going to win some sort of battle here, but you're not going to take our lunch money and everything else. And that was a big problem for me on the day.
When you're saying that, now I'm thinking to myself, that performance felt like a club team performance. And I'm going to tell you, so you had 5 hung on you at Everton. 6 hung on you one time at Everton. Twice, I think, with the Galaxy. We lost 5-2 to Dallas one time, and we actually beat Dallas 6-5 one time in this crazy game. Those are the only 2 times I can remember getting 5 goals scored against me with me on the field.
Yeah.
Club games, that happens sometimes in your case because teams spend way more than Everton was spending and they just get it right on the day. Or once in a while you get somebody doesn't show up and things go poorly. With your national team, never, ever, ever should you concede 5 goals if you're a top 15 team in the world. Now, if you're the number 70 team in the world, which, by the way, they don't get 5 hung on them, I can understand it. You're a top 15 national team at home, and you concede 5 goals. Yeah. And it probably could have been a little worse.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. Honestly, it blows. Forget about, like you said, formation, and people are like, why are we in a back four? And why is this guy playing? And why is this MLS guy playing? And not, it's all bullshit. Yeah. Somebody at some point had to say, enough of this.
Sure.
We're not getting embarrassed on our home field.
And they did. And they did. And
Wild,
I just sort of like, I guess the thing that visually bothered me was, I guess, the lack of fight. Fight's not the right, fight may be the right word. I guess when I've been on teams who have taken heavy defeats, right? Or I've watched enough soccer that, I've watched thousands of games. And when I've seen heavy defeats, it looks uglier. The team that's losing 5, guys are getting the grips with each other. Guys are yelling and spitting and kicking the ground and fighting with the coach and fighting with it's not all about fighting, but like it was 1 went in, 2 went in, 3 went in, arms up, 4 shoulders down, 5 head down. Like that didn't look like a 5-0 defeat. 5-0 defeats to me, in my experience, look like I don't know this. I don't have the inside information, but I do know, and you said you've been there. I've been on the inside of a dressing room after losing 5-0, or 6 or 4. It's an ugly scene. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's actually like can't wait to get in there. Can't wait to get in there because someone's gonna hear it. Mm-hmm. Like we couldn't play soccer today. So at least we can have some hard truths, and I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I don't know if that happened after the game. I hope.
No, it's funny you say
unless
that.
It was, hey, nicey, let's move on because we have another opportunity in a couple days. I don't know. I literally have no idea.
I asked someone who's very tied into soccer in this country, has been for decades, this question because they were at the hotel after the game, and someone who's affiliated with the team. Same question. What was the mood like when you got back to the hotel? And both of them said the same thing. They said a bunch of guys didn't come down from their rooms, understandably. The guys who did come down, like, it was okay. The mood was okay. And I was like, are you kidding me? I would have been mortified. Yeah. First of all, to show my face anywhere, mortified. And I just, like, that is what concerns. Now, look, we have another chance. We're filming this on Monday. Mm-hmm. We have another chance tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I promise you, Pochettino will have the team fighting for sure. I can't say what the result's going to be. If not,
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
You don't think so?
I hope so. I hope so.
I mean,
I have
be shocked.
We have hoped with this team so flipping long. We've hoped for a lot of things. Yeah. Now, I saw it. I mean, the person that's missing in this group is Chris Richards, and I think he's the one that he's the one person. Well, Tyler is as well. Let me say that Tyler would be. He would have had a pound of flesh, I think, on the day if Tyler was playing. He would have made sure that there was some coming togethers. But those two weren't playing, so if and when they play, does it look different? I think so. But again, we talk about it shouldn't be a singular mentality. You shouldn't have
correct
the idea that we'll get beat up if Chris Richards and Tyler Adams aren't here. Can't be like you're still a team. You're still a group. You still fight for each other for the crest. But okay, those guys bring something different. So when they're back, okay.
Can we talk? So the one massive surprise was Matt Turner
Yeah,
starting
yeah,
over
yeah.
Matt Freese, and I'm just gonna speak my
Sure,
opinion, but you're in this, so
sure.
people want to hear what you have to say. But I do want to say real quick, Matt Turner hasn't played in I don't know how long. Matt Freese has played every game
For
for
the
the
national team,
for
yeah.
the national team that we can remember. What I didn't understand is whether you think, not whether I think, whether Pochettino and his staff and the goalkeeper coach thinks Matt Freese is better or Matt Turner or whatever. I have no idea. I'm not there. I see what I see on the field.
Yeah.
They seem fairly similar in their abilities, whatever. From a message standpoint, it sent to both Matt Turner and Matt Freese. I was really confused by this because if you're an NFL team and you have a starting quarterback who's played the last 11 games, and then you go, you know what, we'll just throw this guy in the 12th
Yeah,
game. You would go, well, why?
Right.
And the starter's going to go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So I didn't understand. Can you help me understand that? Am I seeing that right? Am I not? I just didn't understand why you would do it.
No, I don't. I don't. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm baffled. I spoke to when I saw that Matt Turner was playing. I spoke to my goalkeeping guru, who I often lean on for advice and thoughts about things, and I just basically said to him, "Look, this goalkeeping situation with this national team has made me start to rethink what I thought I know about goalkeeping because none of it makes sense to me." And here's why. There's a few different scenarios. You went through one of them. Matt Freese, if he's going to be the goalkeeper, you've heard me say this, but this is a great example.
Yeah.
If he's going to be the goalkeeper going into the World Cup, at best, I think we did the math. If he was fit and played every game, he'd have 15, 16 caps, 17, right? Going into the World Cup. That's it. That's an infant. It's literally throwing an infant onto the football field. Zero international experience as it pertains to playing in a World Cup, right? No World Cup. He played no World Cup qualifying, right? And he played in a Gold Cup, which was, I know it's so we're told that not to say it's a B team. He played in a Gold Cup with a B team. Can we say that now that we're past it? Which is fine, and he did well. That's when he got this. He got his opportunity, took the shirt, and he played. He needs to play in big games. He hasn't had a chance to play in big games. This was an opportunity. Play in this game. Guess what? What we haven't seen from Matt Freese, him having a signature moment. Well, if you play against Belgium, this team, they're gonna score 5 goals. They have the potential to score 5 goals. You have an opportunity to stand on your head and keep us in a game, which we don't know if you can do because you're so young in your national team career. Okay, that opportunity gets taken away from him, so he plays Matt Turner. Why does he play Matt Turner? Nothing that gets said in the press, by the way, is believable from my standpoint. We need to see Matt play. We give him opportunity. No. That to me basically says these two are so close that we're unsure of who the number one is. That's what it tells me. It's not a gimme like let's play Matt because the other guy who we thought you believed in as the number one, you know he needs big games. So why would you take a big game away from Matt Freese?
Yeah, that's right.
So
I thought to myself when that happened, I'm like, I can imagine if Matt Freese had played the last 60 games for the U.S. and they said, you know what, we need Matt Turner to play a game just so we get him some rhythm. You would say, okay, but I was thinking then you'd say, well, no, I want to play. Sure. Right? Now, Matt Freese doesn't have that clout, and he probably can't say that to Pochettino, but it was just bizarre. It was, and I feel bad for Matt Turner, man. Like, he wasn't great, right? But it just, all of a sudden now, it's, the last few games he's played, he's just got bombed on.
Yeah, and I think with the problem that Matt Turner has is Pochettino after the game says the right things and says, it's obviously not just on the goalkeeper, it's on the defenders and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, that's on the coach's brain. When they go to make a decision, they're looking at the goalkeeper that conceded 5. Like it sucks. It sucks. And of course, it's not all on Matt Turner. That's when your team gives up 5, a lot of things went wrong.
Correct.
But again, but ultimately he's the one who was in goal for it, which is not great.
I was going to ask, what changes should we see and what lineup? And now I'm just thinking, like, does it matter? If I would just try to get guys on the field who are, and I feel like a stupid broken record. I say this every
We're
time.
almost at the World Cup. By
I
the way.
know I say this every time, like who are going to just fight and compete and maybe get a yellow card. Like I don't even know how many yellow cards there were. Do something to disrupt the game or some energy or something, and I just don't know how many of them have it.
Well,
I
look,
don't.
and I could be wrong here. I've been wrong in the past. I'll hold my hand up. We had four big matches, right? Belgium, Portugal to come, which we'll be talking about in
Yep.
the next day or two.
Senegal
and Germany. Like, at some point, so Belgium's gone, right? Didn't have a ton of fight, didn't have our best players. At some point, between Portugal, which we won't, Senegal and Germany, we're going to have our best team on the field pulling together and fighting, and they're going to give us hope. Maybe. No. I mean,
but Tim, the reality is, and again, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, Tyler, Serginho, Haji Wright. There's just always, you just have to accept that there's always going to be people missing.
Okay.
We do, and we're just not, and that's okay. It's not okay. It's just part of it. It is what it is, and it's gonna be what it is.
Well, I mean, I just think even the starting lineup, we went to a back four, right? Which is sort of like, if we're gonna be, I like being able to be flexible, but if we're gonna play in the back three, that's something we need to be doing more often. But okay, we played in the back four. I just think they're with sort of the way that Belgium plays, we need to give help to our fullbacks. Timothy Weah, Jedi Robinson, they need players from the midfield to be able to double down and play in a proper sort of like 4-4-2. And I know we weren't in a direct 4-4-2 because we had 2 6s, but like there's still a moment where I'm thinking we can't possibly be playing in the back four and leaving these fullbacks on an island, and we did that.
And look, Timothy Weah has been a winger his whole life.
Right.
So let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
He's not an outside back. Now, has he played there a lot? Yes. Is he getting better? In a year from now, 2 years, could you say yes? Yes, of course. Jeremy Doku is a really good player. I would trust Jedi Robinson to most of the time handle those one-on-one situations because he's played as a left back for a long time. But for Timothy Weah, it's like the guy's on an island by himself against one of the best wingers in the world. What do you expect?
I know.
Like, what do you think's going to happen? Pulisic looked, I actually think he looked a little better. He had some moments where he was bright and sharp and ran by guys. You can just tell he's not sharp in front of goal. He had the moment where he came in front of goal and he sort of leans back and lifts it over the bar.
And he had two of those moments. He had one where he came in from the left.
Right.
And then he had a very similar one where he was a little bit deeper inside the box. And he came in from the right. And I thought that was the one where he'd slot it and ended up just missing it. But still, in moments, he's out and out our best player. And in moments, those little pockets, it's... My worry my worry would be if he wasn't finding those pockets, if he was lethargic.
I agree.
He's not that. So he's still getting in those half spaces. He's still being dangerous. Obviously, you want it to be perfect, but it's not perfect. But I still want him in those spaces, being dangerous on another day. Maybe that's Tuesday. He's in the same space and he sort of autocorrects and he slots it home. So I've got no issues there.
He just needs that first one.
Sure.
He needs that first one, and then once that happens, it'll come. Anything positive you take out of this? I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of pessimistic always with this stuff, but I'm trying to say, was there anything that was?
I think you're clutching at straws when you lose, when you concede 5, and you take a heavy defeat, and then you're like, well, we had a good game. I'm not really sure.
I mean, Wes's goal was great.
Wes's goal was great, but again, that's not like a revelation. He's really good at set pieces. I wouldn't say I'm taking that out of the game and go, well, every game we play between now and the end of the World Cup, Weston's going to be dangerous in set pieces. So that's sort of normal for me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he had another opportunity, Wes, and could have had 2, which would have felt really good. I don't know. Anthony Robinson getting through the game, fit. I'd love to see him play again. against Portugal to be able to. I don't know if his knee can handle that. I hope so, but it'd be great to see him lined up against Portugal again. That would be a big sign for me.
Yeah. I couldn't help but think too, and I know I harp on this a lot. Alex Freeman, a fit, playing all the time. Alex Freeman, I think I would have liked to have seen that matchup against Doku and see what that looks like.
Something that crossed my mind, which sounded crazy before I said it, but you brought it up. I almost would have brought him in cold, I wouldn't have like hooked Timothy Weah, but I would have sort of been like, all right, this is one of the best wingers in the world. Let me just see. What Alex, I know he's not been playing and there's match fitness and all that, but like, I don't know. Let me see. The kid's athletic.
Well, I've said every time he's been given a task, he's accepted it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wanted to see that.
And then maybe you get, maybe in 30 minutes you get a clip of like, oh, okay.
Okay.
He can play against this sort of winger because of his physicality. I don't know.
Yeah, and you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to have lots more big picture on Tuesday. We're having a stream right after the U.S. men's national team game against Portugal. You can find it on YouTube, X, Twitter, and Facebook homepages. And we'll also know who's in our final group. So it's either Kosovo or Turkey, I believe. So we're going to have a lot more to talk about. Curious what you guys think. You've sent in a lot of messages, social media, etc., about what you thought about the defeat, and then send us in questions following the game Tuesday. Be on the live pod, and we can make sure that we get your questions answered. Certainly going to be a lot of talking points depending on how that game goes to me.
It's time for the Unfiltered Refresh, sponsored by Coors Light. Choose chill. Get Coors Light delivered. Go to CoorsLight.com/USF. All right, Landon. Tough one this week. Tell me who you think chose chill. I'm excited to hear who you thought.
Well, most of the team felt like they were like under ice and couldn't move.
Yeah.
But I will say, when he came on, I thought he was a handful. Patrick Ajamong, he got his moment and banged his goal in. He is confident.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell, like, when that moment came, I thought he was going to take a touch. I'm like, oh, take a touch. And he just lashed it into the corner. So he's confident. I thought he was a handful. He was hard to play against.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we've said this all over and over. Not the easiest on the eyes and technical and all this, but he was hard to play against. He made the game hard when he came in.
Yep. I've always thought the same thing about him. He is getting his goals, and he's difficult. I've said when he sort of broke into the team, he's a different profile. He makes it tough and nasty for defenders. They don't like playing against him. He likes the physicality. He wants the contact. He actually has gotten better in tighter areas. So for this game, yes, it is a moment for me that stands out. Does he earn a start because he gets a goal late on? I don't know.
Right.
But it goes a long way, as you know, as a striker.
I met a woman this week, and she said, every time you guys talk about Ajamong, I'm all in. I'm commenting all the time. So on behalf of that lady, Patrick, and behalf of us, congrats on choosing chill. All right, it is stoppage time, sponsored by FanDuel. New to FanDuel Sportsbook, new customers can score up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days from bets that don't win. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. All right, FA Cup quarterfinals this weekend. Liverpool, Manchester City. Love this game. Regardless of where these teams are in the standings, in the table, how they're doing in the league, this is a game that means something with a chance at the semifinals on the line. So fantastic matchup. I love this. I do think City win the game. Liverpool just haven't inspired me a lot this year. City haven't been perfect, but I feel like they're rounding into form. They're playing well in the league. They won the Carabao Cup. Of course, our guy, Erling Haaland, will get on the score sheet somehow. I do believe it'll be a high-scoring game. These two, lots of attacking talent, and I think there'll be lots of goals in this game. And I have a hunch there will be a 1-0 halftime score. It feels like a 1-0 game, and in the second half, it opens up. So, Unfiltered Soccer's FA Cup same-game parlay this week is City to win, Erling Haaland to score or have an assist, over 2.5 goals, and that 1-0 halftime scoreline. Don't forget to check out the full list of Unfiltered Soccer parlays on our socials later this week. All right, guys, as always, please remember to subscribe to the show. rate us, review us. It helps people find the pod. We'll take a break. When we come back, we are talking to our dear friend, Evertonian, podcast host, and author. I don't know how he has time to do all this. Roger Bennett, about his new book, We Are the World Cup. Right here on Unfiltered Soccer with Landon and Tim, as always, presented by Volkswagen. The Unfiltered Soccer podcast is brought to you by Volkswagen. It's really easy to become a passenger in life.
Take control. Live life in the driver's seat. Learn more at VW.com.
Life. If we're not living it, what are we doing here?
Jump around. Jump up and get down. Jump.
So,
This is dedicated.
LD, MLS is back.
Yes, it is. And you know what that means? Saturdays are once again all about soccer.
Walmart is making Saturdays of soccer even more glorious with Walmart Saturday Showdown. From early practices to late night watch parties.
Yeah, Walmart and MLS bring every emotion of the beautiful game to Saturdays. Joy, nerves, excitement, and unforgettable golazos.
Walmart plays on Saturdays.
Who knew? Unfiltered Soccer is brought to you by FanDuel. Soccer fans, the beautiful game is reaching new heights of excitement, and FanDuel is matching that excitement with a beautiful offer for new customers. Sign up now and score up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days from soccer bets that don't win. It's like a free kick to try again every day. FanDuel is the best place to bet your favorite players. Build a same-game parlay for a chance at a bigger payout, or try live betting and join the action after the match starts. Visit FanDuel.com to get your first token and get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days from bets that don't win. Everyone deserves a second shot at greatness with FanDuel. Play your game. All right, Timmy, great guest today.
Yes.
Man, we see a lot of on TV, on his podcast,
Everywhere.
all over the place. I've been seeing him
Everywhere.
everywhere. He is the man who references Lucy and Charlie Brown more than any other human I have ever met. He's also the author of a new book, We Are the World, in parentheses, Cup. Very clever. Roger Bennett, welcome in. Raj, how are you,
Roger, proper toffee you are. There he
It's
is.
a joy to be with both of you. How are you not sponsored by the Hair Club for Men this show? It's one of football world's greatest unanswered questions.
Might be.
Well, with two handsome bald guys and then the other fella. I mean, who knows?
You know, everyone says the hair looks great, and then I think to myself, well, they're not going to tell me it's shit. Right? So,
No, you leave that to us.
Right. Raj, first question. You have a lot of things on your plate, and the more I'm around you, the more I learn that. Why spend the time to, and it's a big effort, as I know, to write a book? And what was the impetus for it?
Life is very short, and World Cups on home turf come about once and a lifetime. You know, I moved here right before '94, that World Cup. It was meant to make football go in America almost overnight. It didn't. We're all the better for that. We put together really an audience, a fan base, massive, deeply rooted, authentic, knowledgeable. And ahead of this World Cup, I wanted to write about that journey because it's one of the greatest footballing journeys of my life, to see America go from a football-loathing nation, which we were in the early 90s, to one where football just has become the third biggest sport. And to watch it, to revel in it, to not take a second for granted. It's the greatest story that I've lived, and I wanted to put it down on the page so that everyone could celebrate it before this World Cup kicks off.
And you, Raj, you go through World Cup. What was your first World Cup?
78, Argentina.
Like, sometimes when I watch past people speak about World Cups, or you watch highlight videos, there are things that happen that you didn't realize, or I wasn't alive at the time, but you go, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Were there things along the way in a particular World Cup or some World Cups where you went, wow, I can't believe that actually happened?
For me, the World Cup, I realised writing this book, is 73% of my greatest footballing memories. Honestly, Landon, I've not forgotten any of them. It's when I look back at the action, it's still front of my cortex. And that's the joy, the power, the wonder of this tournament is, and I write about it, it is like an eclipse that hits the entire planet for the duration of the tournament. And every single memory is like snow falling on snow, layered from Maradona doing the English with his hand, all the way through to Baggio, that penalty soaring into the Pasadena night sky. Your goal in 2010, from an American perspective, lies alongside Tim's performance in Salvador that night in 2014. These are memories, not just footballing, but you remember where you were when you saw them, who you were with. And ultimately, the World Cup becomes just an alternate way of living your own biography, your own life. And so I wrote it almost for American fans who lived each of these memories. And many of your listeners will be nodding as they hear these stories. I live that. I hope they feel alive again when they reconjure their own memories. And for newer fans who didn't live these World Cups, I wrote the book so that they could almost borrow those memories, know their Maradona from their Messi, and savor every single last drop of, please God, what will be a positive, joyous World Cup in 2026.
You know, we talk about how much the World Cup means to each and every one of us. Landon and I have played in it. You've watched it as a fan and as someone on level who knows the game and can write a book about it. But when you look at the World Cup as a whole, where does it rank in terms of global sporting events? It has to be far and away number one.
Yeah, there's nothing like it, Tim. Here in the United States, we live for Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I think around 200 million people watch the Super Bowl around the planet. The World Cup has 5 billion human beings. It's the perfect global billboard, viewable from outer space. The cliche about the World Cup is it stops wars, that the whole world stops. We all love an excuse to daytime drink, to cut work, to just commune together. But in our day and age, particularly, I pray that the World Cup can do something that the world really needs right now, which is to create a positive, joyous, electric connection and bond us all around the globe, because that's what it has had the power to do in World Cups past, and I think we need it more than ever.
Rogers, you obviously did a ton of research on this book to go through World Cup by World Cup, and you've seen it with 32 teams, right? For I guess all of it, right? Since 78. What are your thoughts on the expanded format? Timmy and I kind of disagree on this, but what are your thoughts on the expanded format?
It was smaller in 78. It's gotten bigger incrementally. Everything in football gets bigger. Part of me thinks we got to wait to see how we live it out before we judge it. I think football always judge things retrospectively. Part of me realizes that in about 50 years, we'll be romanticizing the days of the tiny World Cup when there were just 48 teams in it. Now there's 120 or whatever. Everything gets incredibly swole. You look at these playoffs. I will say that watching the playoffs last week, watching these teams soar with pride and wonder, even participating, hearing their national anthem in games that truly matter, was really, really powerful and really, really beautiful. And I hope that the expanded field, some of these teams are poor. These teams on paper are useless. But I remember watching Iceland in the Euros in 2016. I went over there beforehand to film with the team, Heimir Hallgrímsson, who is now the manager of the valiant Irish team. It's an island nation of a couple of 100,000 people. They were expected to be like third cousins at a wedding, just happy to be there. They ended up slaying England on a dizzying run deep into the tournament. And international football is a strange beast. You both know that any team can just find, with collective football, with a strong defensive foundation, with an ability to find a goal through a set piece or whatever, can find a way to go deep. I feel like I'm subtweeting the US team right now. But any team that finds a system, England, 2018, ugly football. Defensive first, nicking a goal off a corner or a set piece or a long throw, all the way to the semi-final. So let's suspend judgment and pray that teams go deep, and one of those teams is the United States, guys.
That'd be amazing. When we look at sort of anecdotally in the book, and you've talked so eloquently about a few of them, myself, my performance, Landon, Maradona, certainly not on the same level as that, but
Where'd you put him, Tim? Howard? Is it Howard? Landon, Donovan, what's his name? Diego Mara, what's his name? Where do we rank them?
But in the book specifically, is there those for us are obvious ones, and we look at how special those moments are. But did you dig deep and get into sort of something that isn't necessarily at the top of mind, a story that you remember about the World Cup that's special that not everybody's going to know?
The joy of the World Cup is that players who are unknowns can come through a delirious moment, deliver national glory, and instantly become the name screamed by kids on playgrounds, schoolyards, basketball courts, muddy football fields across the world. So Toto Scalacci in Italia 90, when Italy could not score a goal. I think he was their fourth string striker on a team of beautiful looking human beings. He looked like me, really, with a little bit more hair. And he, scored and scored again. I don't think he ever scored another goal for the Italian team other than that World Cup. And it is the joy, the uncovered heroes. South Africa, 2010, the hosts not wanting to be embarrassed in that opening game, stepped forward, shalabalaba to unleash a lightning bolt from the left, just flew into the corner, a comet of destiny. And the dance that followed, euphoric. But we laugh at, Maradona, Tim Howard, Landon, Donovan. I mean, you guys are American greats. I don't think anyone in the rest of the world is talking about the Landon Donovan Algeria goal, or the Tim Howard night in the way that we do. And we should. And that's the joy of it. Your performances are up there from an American POV. Like they are the number of American footballers who we speak to on our show who talk about being kids already, and watching the Landon Donovan Algeria goal and wanting to pull on that shirt to live those moments. The number of football fans that became abjectly woeful Everton supporters because they were turned on by World Cup 2014 and saw you play that incredible game. We spoke right afterwards. I asked you if time moved fast or slow. You said you kept looking up at the stadium clock and thinking it was broken. That these are our memories, and that's the joy of the World Cup. I think for a Moroccan fan, their sense of what the World Cup memories are very different to ours. We just need more. We need more great American memories. It's hard to believe, guys, that our nation has won one knockout World Cup game in history. It's crazy. It is. It's crazy. Do you guys think that's crazy? Or having lived it, are you like, no, you don't understand?
No. That's absolutely right.
Raj, I heard you say that the other day, and I was like, no, we've definitely won more than. And I said, no, we haven't. We've won one knockout, which is incredible.
It's crazy. I mean, it is hard to believe that a nation with our ability, our athletic ability, our pool, our everything, our sporting prowess, a nation that loves winners. And that's what we got to change. Your memories, please God, will become like, the biblical patriarch memories, and there'll be new layered memories delivered by footballers starting in 2026 for World Cups to come.
Amen. So Raj, let's jump. You referenced Everton there. Let's jump across the ocean a bit to your homeland, not your now adopted country here, but your homeland. Thoughts on, first of all, the English team. A fan of Tuchel?
Under Tuchel,
do you care? How much do you? Because you are. What's come through to me is that you do really love this country and you do support this team and want this team to do well. But you were born overseas, and how do you feel about the English team and Tuchel coming into the World Cup?
I do support the United States with all of my heart. I'm from Liverpool. It's a strange and wonderful place, as Tim Howard knows, up there in the north. A lot of Liverpudlians believe they're, Liverpool, not English. That when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, the English team, which always flattered to deceive, was seen as like a southern thing built with the southern clubs in a political climb where the north had been kind of left to rot. Jamie Carragher talks in his autobiography about how when he lost for Liverpool, it killed him. When he lost in an England shirt, no biggie. So, in the book, I talk about my feelings about the English team. As a kid, I dreamed about them as demigods. After about 1982, there was a real distancing for me because of the dynamic I've just articulated. I care for them because my dad cared for them. He pretended he didn't, but would weep whenever they were knocked out. My family, I know the happiness that will bring a nation that honestly really needs happiness. And watching Gareth Southgate 2018 really waistcoat that team into a real sense of hope. Harry Kane, who looks like he's just stepped out of a Spitfire during the Battle of Britain, and taking out all comers. What a wonderful human being! What a leader! The English press are harder on their team. We think the press in America is negative. That you guys live it. Tim, you watch the Premier League. That the noise here is the noise of a mouse, as opposed to just a roaring, incandescent, tabloid sharpened hunger pit. There's the English media. They expect now far more than they did really in the early 2000s. It's a very talented team. It's a wild move pulling in Tuchel, just like pulling in Pochettino is a wild move for us. He's meant to be a coach that can win. They feel that's the missing piece. I think, honestly, the Premier League players, the elite players, are playing so much football right now. They're utterly shredded, as we're seeing in the Champions League with the English team's fate there. The English media have decided after the performance this week, in which they were pretty heavy-legged in an odd series of kind of wide casting selections against Uruguay, that maybe we're not that good is the current tenor, which is actually a change. I will say, one of the things, I'm sure you talked about the US team in the A block, there's no other team I know, no other team I've read about, no other team I've seen that has a manager that's like, semi-final, here we come. I find that the more I think about it, the stranger it is. It's almost like the American fan base. You guys will believe this. Let's just say it. But there's no other manager, because we don't know, do we? Until the team comes together in June, till the chemistry's forged in camp, till the first game, till second game, almost the end of the group stage. Which team really has a culture to go deep, and which team doesn't? Until then, isn't it just conjecture?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, look, I'm always with. It's funny because it is interesting to see the English be so sort of, maybe we're not that good. We never ever hear that. It's just a steady climb. It's a steady climb of how high can we get them before we absolutely tear them down. So this is a change. This is an absolute change.
I will say the thing about Charlie Brown, that Landon references, that I talked on at a conference with him this week. The English mentality, like they dream of winning, but they do expect after tournament after tournament of self-sabotage and doom, they almost do expect to fail in their heart of hearts. And they remind me of Charlie Brown running at a football with Lucy Holding. But we just had John Oliver on the show, and he said, what if the English love the losing? Like, what if Charlie Brown saying to Lucy, hold the ball, and when I come up to kick it, just pull it away so I can feel that pain. I almost think it's the pain, the failure. It's almost very affirming and warm. I don't know if England actually won the World Cup on US turf. I don't know if they'd know what to do with themselves other, I guess, than fire rockets out of their orifices. I don't know how mentally they'd cope. And Tim, an England that wins things,
Amazing.
It's a crazy notion.
Well, they keep saying it's coming home, and it never comes home with poor guys.
Raj, speaking of teams that are miserable right now, can you, this morning, it was announced that De Zerbi, we believe, I don't know if it's confirmed, will now take over at Spurs. Can you just give us just your opinion on what's going on at Spurs? You know football well, you've been watching forever. Is this as shocking a season as you? I mean, this is up there with Leicester winning the Premier League, right? Spurs doing this feels unimaginable.
Is it poor Spurs or poor Tudor or poor someone? I don't know. Something's going on there.
I mean, Tudor was hailed as the ferryman, the safe pair of hands who could rescue this team through these games. And I mean, he's like the worst ferryman since the guy that took you across the River Hades in Greek poetry. What was his name? Charon. They now need a ferryman for the ferryman. There's 7 games left. I feel for him. He was a terrible choice. His English was bad. The English press feasted upon him, almost baited him with a real agony. He clearly didn't come to grips. He clearly wasn't equipped. He clearly wasn't the right man to debut in the Premier League in those circumstances. I feel for Spurs fans. There's so many in America who were turned on by the 2014 World Cup. and coincided with the Premier League being broadcast here by NBC, and saw a young Harry Kane and saw Sonny and saw a prime Dele Alli and fell in love with that team. They have such a massive fan base here. They've soared. It's hard to believe their last 2 years odyssey, from where they were to fall so fast. And it feels like they make such terrible footballing decisions. Roberto De Zerbi, the thing I'd worry about, and I love Spurs. I said to Tim when I came on, they feel to me like the Everton of the South, like the second biggest team, the one that dreams of that neighbour, the neighbour that overshadows them. De Zerbi, if he comes in, number one, he's not a guy that really sticks around for a long time. He'll be threatening to leave in about 12 weeks for the first time. But his ideas are complicated. His ideas are complex. They take time to bed in. Spurs don't have time. They need a guy coming in. They need a guy. I would have brought Ange Postecoglou back, like bringing Steve Carell back at the last episode of The Office, just for the lols. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I'm baffled that, look, they got it wrong with Tudor, right? They got it wrong, and I just think that they could have and should have done this 3 weeks ago at a minimum and cut your losses. They were gonna have to do it anyway. So they're in it, and the next manager, they have to get a bounce. If they don't, obviously the unthinkable is going to happen.
You think they can pray for West Ham? I mean, that's a terrible position to be in. That pray that West Ham better your worstness. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
But let's just finish on a high note. Your mighty Toffees, mighty Toffees are flying. People are talking about Europe, where sort of they belong under David Moyes. How have you seen that transformation?
It's delirious. It's magnificent. It's it's an incredible dream to see our dad return after leaving us to go and get a pint of milk at the shops and never coming back. And then he's back, David Moyes, and he's wiser, slightly calmer, more evolved, I think a bit more open, emphasis on bit. And to watch this team with deep limitations, no fullbacks, no reliable striker consistently. So obvious tactical vulnerabilities that other teams can and have exploited. Despite that, still to rise up has been magnificent. He's built a foundation that I hope with some savvy moves. I mean, God, we yearn for fullbacks. Every time I watch Anthony Robinson on the field, I remember he once rode with us. He came to our academy. I watch Leighton Baines on the bench, your old teammate, as a coach now. I'm like, get your kit on, man. Upgrade. And so it's been beautiful. It's for me with my family, to watching Everton and not the last game against Chelsea. Happy Everton watching is a scant human emotion. I'd say the same for the US team. And I'd love to just get your advice on this. I'm looking just to the corner of my outer shot. I'm looking at you both now in your studio. To the right of me is an ESPN promo poster from the 2010 World Cup, where they painted the US team in Washington rowing across the river. Landon, you've got the US flag on your shoulders. Tim, you're holding a tattered but still proud US flag. Clint Dempsey is roaring at the front, rowing the boat across. That just reminds me of this collective wonder. When you watch what we're watching, we're obsessed with, are our players world class? That debate is ridiculous. They're good enough. We're worried about what style of football we play. Ultimately, international football is not about style. It's about moments. It's about collective everything. We do have enough, don't we? We do. That's why I don't think we are good enough. Can we pull this together? And what one thing does it need?
Yeah, we've lost, Raj, and that watching a lot. We've lost the American spirit that has kept us in games we had no business being in for decades, and had us get results in games that we had no business getting results in. The irony is now that our players are playing at bigger clubs, and from a quote unquote talent and skill set, they are as good as we've ever been. But without it, and we see, look, Spurs is not. They're not talented. They're as talented as teams they're playing against, but teams that are collective and play together are better. And that's what we need to get back to. And that's
when you took the field against big teams, did you truly in your heart expect to win in those massive moments?
the English you're talking about expecting to lose and almost wanting to lose, or the press wanting them to lose. We were so naive and dumb. We would expect to win, right? And
Yeah.
that's what we need to get back to.
Naive and dumb. That's where we need to get back.
Good game plan.
Perfect place to end. Well, Raj, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. If you have not gotten the book, a lovely read. We Are the World Cup, in parentheses. There it is. Lovely.
Amazing.
You are on brand.
I can't wait.
Raj,
I can't
thank
wait to
you.
read it.
I'm
Thanks,
sure we're
Raj.
going to see a lot of each other in the coming weeks and months, and wishing you the very best.
Huge love to you, legends. Thank you, guys.
Up to Toffees, mate.
This episode is brought to you by Airbnb.
LD, when I think about big tournaments, you think about unforgettable moments. You and I have been a part of that together.
Yeah.
That Algeria game in South Africa, 2010, we were incredible as a team. But at the end, I get the ball, I give it to you. You go down the field, you and Clint, shot, score. It's etched in my mind. And then I also just think about the memories after the game in the locker room, the elation, being completely emotionally drained, going back to the hotel and the resort and seeing our families. It's like, it's the stuff that dreams are made of. You can't pinch yourself enough in those moments. It was just so special to share that.
You're absolutely right, Timmy. And this summer, fans from around the world will travel to experience the biggest event in the history of the world, the FIFA World Cup 2026. You can be part of the excitement by opening your doors and hosting those fans in your home. If you've ever thought about hosting, this summer is a great time as we welcome FIFA World Cup fans.
Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host.
Timmy, I got to tell you a story. So we're in Tahoe. We went skiing with a couple of our friends. And we finished skiing, and on the way back in the shuttle thing, we're like, oh, cannot wait to have a beer. So we get back and we realize we forgot to put the Coors Light
Oh, no.
in the fridge or the
Oh, no.
freezer. However, unlike in California, you can step outside and dump it in the snow. And I got to tell you, I don't know if anyone's ever done this. Probably everybody in the world has. Within like 6 minutes, that thing is frozen, freezing cold. Amazing. You got to try it.
Smart. But here's the thing. The whole point of choosing chill is not to stress out. My life is stressful enough. So
Well, I was stressed, bro. I needed the beer.
This is my point. So when I'm home, after I'm relaxed, coming from the studio or traveling, which I'm always doing, into the refrigerator. I've already prepared that. I'm not going to be a panic stations like you are. And I just reach in the fridge and take a cold Coors Light out. And that part is a lot easier for me. That's how I choose chill.
This is why you were a top pro.
Correct.
You prepared. I
Correct.
didn't. I just winged it. All right. Taste true mountain cold refreshment. Crack open a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Visit CoorsLight.com/UFS, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer.
Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Beer. There's nothing better than feeling like someone has your back and that things are going to get done even without you having to ask. Like your crisp New Jersey waiting for you in the locker room or a perfectly set up wall for a free kick.
Yeah, as we on Unfiltered Soccer get ready for next summer, we know that very little in the beautiful game is guaranteed. But as we prepare to bring our unfiltered brand of nonstop soccer coverage, it's good to know AT&T has your back with the AT&T Guarantee.
Staying connected matters. That's why in the rare event of a network outage, AT&T will proactively credit you for a full day of service. That's the AT&T Guarantee.
Learn more at att.com/guarantee. AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Credit for fiber downtime lasting 20 minutes or more, or a wireless downtime lasting 60 minutes or more caused by a single incident impacting 10 or more towers. Must be connected to impacted towers at onset of outage. Restrictions and exclusions apply. See att.com/guarantee for full details. It's time for the Fan Connection presented by AT&T. Every week we invite you, the listener, to connect with us by submitting your questions. At AT&T, connecting changes everything. And on USMNT, our connections with you will help grow the game. Okay, welcome back into the AT&T Fan Connection, your favorite time of the week because your favorite person of the week. Jordan, how are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Jordan, interesting background. Where are you?
Where are you?
I'm somewhere in an undisclosed location in New York
Undisclosed
City.
location.
Yeah, we can see you through the
we?
wall there, but you're in the other room. But
Yes,
we are
I'm in the
together.
other room.
All of us are
This is
together.
amazing.
Yes.
JR, last week Tim said he wants you to bring the smoke.
Bring some smoke.
Were you able to bring the smoke? Were the fans able to bring the heat?
Well, the fans didn't have to do a lot of work because the U.S. men's national team caught fire. So, shall we dive right into the questions?
Dive in.
Yeah,
Go
I
dive
think
in.
we should.
Okay. This first one is from Chris via email. Chris said, I would like to start this by saying I bleed red, white, and blue and will support this team till the very end. But after the result versus Belgium, I have started thinking negatively. On that thread, what would be the bigger disappointment? Missing the World Cup entirely in 2018 or getting grouped in a 2026 home World Cup?
Well,
Oh.
we won't get grouped. I mean, missing the World Cup is disastrous, and that is you never ever want that. And we won't get grouped. We have the blessing of having the easiest group in the history of maybe the World Cup, and that's going to help us. And we'll get out of the group. Getting out of the group isn't the issue. I think the bigger issue is this group as a whole. This U.S. soccer group as a whole, LD, they were younger when in 2022 and the build up to that. But the knock on this team, not an opinion, the knock on this team is that they haven't had that signature win, that signature moment. And you get signature moments by beating a top 10 team, right? And they haven't had that. And so when you then go up against Belgium, you go, okay, here's a moment, right? It's a friendly, but here's a moment. And they failed that test. And so when people are fans and are saying like, where does the hope come from? What should we worry about this game? Yes, we should worry about the Belgium game because it's another opportunity for this group to take a step forward and put their marker down and say, we can beat a top team. And not only did they not beat a top team, they got walloped.
We weren't. I mean, we weren't even competitive, which is the crazy part. You've said that over and over, and until you had first said it on the pod, I hadn't realized that this group has not beaten a top team.
Yeah.
That the probably biggest signature win was the Uruguay win, a few months ago, and that the concern, Jordan, again, is not getting grouped. To answer the question, what would be a bigger? I don't know. It would be a bigger disappointment because the World Cup's in our home country. That would be insanely disappointing if we finish fourth somehow, which we won't. The bigger question is when the round of 32 comes, it probably won't be Belgium, but it's going to be a Uruguay type team, somewhere in the 15 to 20 ranked, probably in the world. We've had some success in those games, but we lost to Turkey. We lost to Switzerland, who's another comp. So, these are the types of teams you're going to get in a round of 32, and that's where I worry. And by the way, I texted someone, maybe it was in our group chat. I said, guys, this is shocking when it was 5-1. And I said, Belgium's not the best of those top teams.
Right.
They're not even close. I mean, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. But they're not France or Spain or Brazil or Argentina. They're not. And so that really scared me.
Well, I would also like to remind Chris that we're recording this on Monday, so maybe we show something better against Portugal, and maybe he'll
Let's
be
hope.
feeling a little bit better about that. So,
Yeah, all of us, yeah.
This next one is a good question for the two of you, and more, frankly, smoke for me, if I'm being really honest. This one is from Jesus via email, and Jesus says, "My hot take is this." Everton will win a European trophy, likely Europa or Conference League, sooner than Liverpool will, likely Champions League. I think Everton have a good squad to play with. They keep it competitive year in and year out, and they benefit more than the red side from the league coefficient, giving an extra slot for European qualification. Thoughts?
So it says they'll win it. Everton will win.
Basically,
Europa
he's
League or
saying,
Conference League?
Everton will win a European trophy before Liverpool will win again.
No, false.
Really? Before Liverpool win a Champions League?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because what if Everton get into a Conference League where they're not as good? Winning the Champions League's hard.
Here's why. Because David Moyes has shown he can do that, get Everton into Europe consistently. He shows he could win the Europa Conference League with West Ham. I don't have any doubts about that. Liverpool have consistently had really good European runs in the Champions League. They do their business really well. I don't think Everton do their business very well in terms of buying and selling and getting the right players in. I mean, we're still lacking 2 proper fullbacks, a proper striker. Yeah, I think it's a false.
Wow. All right. I disagree. We'll see. Hopefully. For all of us.
I hope so.
I also hope that he's wrong, but
What do you think?
obviously.
You think Everton will first or Liverpool? Don't answer with your heart.
I mean,
impossible.
so what's really funny is if I answer with my heart, I hope that he's right because like we have a bunch of Champions League trophies and I would like for somebody else. I don't mind somebody else being happy for once, especially if it's not while we're in the same league, like.
Yeah. All right. Wow, Jordan, you're a better person than I am.
For sure.
I also would just like to mention that a lot of people wrote in this week to tell me what song they would like to have added to our playlist.
Okay.
And this is the one that I think I liked the most. His name is Daniel, and he suggested that we add Frank Ocean's song "Biking" to our playlist.
Okay.
And then
Is
he
that 'cause
said
Tim likes to bike?
he gave 3 reasons. One, Tim mentions biking around New York City all the time, so that's obvious. Plus, Frank Ocean resides in New York City. Landon has limited musical knowledge, but there's a Southern California connection. Plus, given who he mentioned, I think he'd probably enjoy the song. And then you, meaning JR, have the best, most varied taste. So you're probably already a fan. So I really feel like flattery will get you everywhere, Daniel. Congratulations.
Yeah, get your comment read. That's for sure. Serious question. I don't know Frank Ocean or that song. Where is that? Like, who is that? What's the?
I mean, maybe I should just let you listen after.
All right.
A little Frank Ocean.
Yeah,
What's
then
the
next
genre?
week you can come back and tell us what the genre is. How about that?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Deal.
All right.
And the
ahead,
funny
Zen.
thing was, Landon put in. Can I tell them how naive you are with hip hop? Landon put in this song into our chat group, and this weekend went, "Oh my god!"
Oh, what a song,
He
by
said,
the way.
"Oh my god, guys, have you heard this song?" So you're thinking, "Wow,
What a song.
A banger dropped." He was talking about "Cash Rules Everything Around Me," "Cream" by Wu-Tang, which got dropped in the 90s. And here's the kicker. Landon and I, although we didn't see each other because we just don't hang out, in Atlanta, we're staying in the same hotel. And on the next day, I'm walking through the hotel, and Method Man is sitting on the couch in the lobby. And I thought, how ironic that my partner in crime doesn't know who this man is. Anyway.
Is he Method Man's in Wu-Tang?
Wu-Tang, yeah.
Dude, what a song, by the way.
Is Wu-Tang.
I put in 90s, best 90s rap hits, I think. And that
amazing.
came
It's
on.
amazing
That's a song.
Amazing search.
Also, No Diggity, right? Was the other one that you added into the chat?
Oh, yeah, that's a great.
It is
That
a
song,
great
I know. That's a great song.
Okay, if you would like your, I would just like to say on Tim and Landon's behalf, you guys could do a better job of bringing the smoke into the comments because those were like the smokiest we kind of got. So feedback at unfilteredsoccer.com. Come on, guys.
Oh.
You
Challenge
can do better
us.
than that. Yeah.
I think they just like us.
That's good.
All right. Thanks, JR. Another great show, Timmy. Really enjoyed it. We are heading back to Atlanta. Will be very interesting to see what happens. Thanks to Roger Bennett. Fantastic interview. Thank you all. As always, remember, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at Unfiltered Soccer. Thank you so much to our presenting sponsor, VW, our Fan Connection sponsor, AT&T, and our stoppage time sponsor, FanDuel.
Roger Bennett, you're a big, bright, shining star, a good friend of the show, good friend of mine, and the ultimate toffee. So great to have you on. Good luck with the book. Can't wait to read it and promote it. Brilliant job. Thanks to our Unfiltered Refresh sponsor, Coors Light, and our additional sponsors, Airbnb and Walmart. Have an amazing week. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another edition of Unfiltered Soccer.